Is your HOA funded correctly? We're going to talk into that today, as well as today's rates, Measure E again, and what you get for $2 million and what you get for $1 million in Santa Clara County, as well as uh, the inventory and sales chart of Santa Clara County and the 12 Bay Area counties around the Bay Area. If I can't say that 100 different times, different ways in one sentence, there you go. I think that's called a run-on sentence. Okay, let's see real quick. Today's mortgage rates, jumbo 30-year is 6.4. However, if you're a veteran or doing FHA, it's already below, and 15-year fixed at 5.5. But if you get unquoted rates here at $2 million, because that's the average price of a house in Santa Clara County, for 20% down, you have good credit, you're looking at 5.8, 5.8, 5.9. So we're all under the joyful 6% mark. We're not at 5.5 yet. You can probably add a couple points or maybe another half point to it to get it down that far. These are not quoted rates. These are not, well, Vito said. You got to go through and run an application and get rates from your loan agent, your loan broker. And if you don't have anybody, let me know. I have a bunch of people that are really awesome. Measure E is coming back in full force. Not that it is or anything, but I did have a conversation. I found somebody in the city that was actually talking to me. I haven't actually asked him or her what it's going to or what programs it's provided for. However, I did ask, you ready for this? The way it works, how the process works. Now, the transfer tax versus conveyance tax, we have it here. I think I talked about this last week. A house sold at $2 million at 0.75 would be $15,000, right? That's 0.75. Right now, if it's sold at $1,999,999, it's 0.33% or $3.30 per thousand, split 50-50, and that would be $6,600. However, I got something back saying if it's exactly at $2 million, you not only have to pay the conveyance tax, but you also, it says plus right here, this is actually verbatim, I copied and pasted it, you also have to pay the transfer tax. So what do? Sell your house at $1,999,999 or $2,001, and then you save $6,600. But that's just the way it is. You do the math, you figure it out. And again, my position in this is that I think it's hurting the values of San Jose single-family homes, because if you look at this, just the ratio, we should be up here. Our houses should be worth a lot more. But because of Measure E, I think you're seeing our values being slowed down as far as increase rate. Now, I understand there's a difference between affordability and seller greed, and I totally get that. Totally get that. However, my position is if I lived in Morgan Hill or Cupertino or Campbell, my house would be worth a little bit more than what it's worth now. Just saying. If you want to argue this with me or you think I'm wrong, please let me know. I'd always love to have this conversation. I don't think Measure E is doing a great thing for people that are homeowners. Might be doing something good for people that are struggling with housing affordability or homelessness. I haven't actually researched that. And I'm welcoming you, I'm enticing you, I'm asking you to do the research. If you want this link, it's in my blog. The link to my blog is down in the copy below in the description below. This section of the episode is brought to you by the Home Inspection Checklist. The Home Inspection Checklist goes through everything, and it tells you what to look for, what an inspector would look for, and allows you to decide if you're going to fix it or not, or just disclose it. It allows you to do kind of a pre-screening of what your value or what your home needs. And no home is perfect. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that some floors are wavy, some floors are dipped, no room is perfectly square, or walls are going to be perfectly level. So don't ever expect anything perfect in a house. It's built by human beings, and the earth moves around, and so do houses. So there you go. What you get for $2 million in San Jose, California. This is 95123. This is in the Palmilla development. And, they built it in before 2000. And here's what I want to tell you. This house is trying to be a market maker. $2 million. Now, granted, this is the first picture you see, which, when you have 59 pictures, you should tell a story. So the first thing that matters to you as a buyer is curb appeal, not what the inside of a living room looks like, right? So there's another picture and another picture. Oh, and yeah, there you go. And yeah, this guy, oh crud, let me redo this. Always happens when the data goes. But if you look, this guy's just being selfish. He's being greedy. He has dollar signs in his eyes. He thinks he can get it for $2 million. But if he sells it for over, he's going to pay 3 times more for transfer tax or a conveyance tax or whatever you want to call it. And here's the nuts and bolts of this. First of all, you have these silly looking columns in here. And I don't know why they put columns in there other than, I have no idea. Maybe there's water that has to, I don't know. And yeah, I sold this model before. 2,400 square feet, 4-bedroom, 3 full baths, built in 1998, on market 43 days. If your house doesn't sell in the first 15 days, there's something wrong with it. Condition, location, or price. And I can tell you that right now, this guy is pure ego. And he's expecting this, and he doesn't care if he sells it or not. He just wants its price. And is the price really viable? Is it really valuable as a buyer? Would you buy that? And let's see, my main test is there's no floor plan. If you're selling a house and you don't have a floor plan on it, how are people on the internet supposed to understand the flow of your house? How are they supposed to know where the first picture, which is the living room, not the front of the house is, and what it looks like? How are they supposed to know where the living room is, where the layout is, how it's supposed to go up, and what the rooms upstairs look like, where the master bedroom is? So all you're looking at are just static photos. Granted, there could be a video walkthrough, but sometimes people just want to do a floor plan or a Matterport, the 360 thing. I don't use Matterport. I use my own service. But in my opinion, this house isn't being marketed correctly. The first picture should be front of the house, and you should be attracting the market, not making the market. That's why it's on market for 43 days. There you go. That's what you get for $2 million in San Jose, Santa Clara County. What you get for $1 million in Santa Clara County, this is in Edenvale, Kayak Drive. Again, not my listing. It's $1,034,000, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,000 square feet, built in 1961. Nice little ranch. I think this is on a hill. Let's see, where is it? No, that's flat ground. So this is a nice neighborhood. I lived up here. Don't know if you can see, but I lived up here for my first 7 years of being a homeowner, and I love this area. It's a really nice area, and I don't have any problems with this. However, you have to understand that if your house is on market for a while, this was originally listed at $1.1 million. It's on market 22 days and still no bites. Why? Well, maybe the market, I did it again. Let's go back, refresh this sucker, and Kayak. There we go. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if they actually Ooh, ooh. Okay, original tile counter. I don't know if that's tile or linoleum. Semi-updated bathroom, but not an updated kitchen, and very sparse amounts. They have how many different video or pictures? 13 whole pictures and no floor plan. Guys, if you're selling your house and you happen to not use me, ask your agent if they can provide a 360 dollhouse and a floor plan. It makes all the difference. For people that are shopping online, it really helps show the value of that house. It really helps you sell it. Yeah. Underfunded homeowners associations. This is a big deal, especially in Florida. Florida just hired 68 people to audit the associations, homeowners associations, to find out if they're funded correctly or not. This is a huge problem. I don't know if you remember a few years back, there was a condo that collapsed, killed a couple people. It was because of lack of maintenance. The HOA, the homeowners association, and their full-time support that they use. There's services that actually support and guide people, the volunteers. People on the board are volunteers, believe it or not, and they guide them to tell them what the best practices are, and they figure out how to do it. Ultimately, it's the board's decision if they're going to fund the HOA correctly, and you have to have something called reserves, and reserves have to be at least 70% funded, or you're in trouble. And if you get audited by the DRE or whatever it is that governs in your state, it's a huge problem, because then there's major assessments or what have you. And every 3 years, you're supposed to do a self audit, present that to the state, because it's all very, very, it's regulated, but there's a lot of loopholes on it. And my problem here, guys, is one, we have the same problem here in California. One, the HOA dues are completely out of whack. They're way more expensive than they should be. They're not managed correctly, and their assessments, the reserves aren't funded correctly on a huge amount of the HOAs. Now, let's say that, like, hey, Vito, I need to buy a house, but I can't afford a house. I need to buy a condo. Great. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go and look at condos, and there's a private party, a third party that offers an audit on the HOA. They look at everything, not only the reserves and the finances and the assessments and all this other stuff, but they also dig down into communication, how it's managed, all that stuff. And it's a report, and it costs like $500 or $600. But I guarantee you, $500 or $600 invested is far better than you buying a house for $800,000 and all of a sudden you have another $40,000 assessment on you. That wasn't disclosed because the seller didn't know to ask. And when I sell condos, I require that we do these audits. Why? Because I'd rather scare away the bad buyers or poor buyers and find buyers that understand this report is there to protect them and to disclose to them what we're actually selling to them. Conversely, if you're a seller of a condo and you're like, meh, I don't want to do it, I'm just going to risk it, that $500 or $600 that you could spend could cost you $40,000. If there's an assessment or something that's coming up that you're not aware of, or the HOA is not being managed correctly, you would like to provide that to the buyer, because if they don't, they can come back and sue you. So I'd rather you spend $500 or $600 and do it right. Selling a house costs money. So when you cheap out on things, you wind up screwing yourself. Just leaving it at that. Okay. Month supply across the United States, we're up to 4.1. This was 4.0 last month, and it just got readjusted. So May, it was 3.7, June, 4.1, and July is 4.1, and now we're at 4.2. It means if we stop putting new houses on the market, it would take 4.2 months to get rid of all the inventory we have right now. Oh, we'll go back to that. So let's see if I can back this up. Oh, this picture right here is from my friend that's in the council. And while they were going through the Measure E stuff, this discloses it. So if you want to take a snapshot of that and then read it on the side there, you're very welcome to. But that's how they were selling it, to how to figure out how to sell it to us so we can vote for it. I digress. It's 12 Bay Area counties, single family homes only. So if you look, there's 12 different counties here, and everything's doing well except for Napa, which has been struggling for quite a while. If you look, 6.6 months. Now, is that technically a buyer's market? Technically, it's a buyer's market, but like the recession rule, it has to be 2 months or more at a certain thing. I would say maybe like 3, 4, 5 months at over 6 months, then you're at a buyer's market in Napa. Everything else is reaching up. However, understand the numbers here are being reported for September, and September is not over yet. See, these are all preliminary numbers, so this number is probably going to come back down. So don't get alarmed. Don't get your claws out and think I'm going to buy a house in Napa. You absolutely can try, but the housing there isn't as bad as what we think it is. So this also is just Santa Clara County single family homes. And this talks to you about 2,000 homes on market, make it a balanced market. And months of inventory is 1.4. We need to be at 6 months. So we're nowhere near that. These are the cities in Santa Clara County, the same thing as the counties. Same thing's doing everything else. And don't forget, don't freak out about these numbers. This is a preliminary thing. I was just doing it because I wanted to make sure that we had this conversation so that when you're looking at it, these numbers next week will be down further. They'll be more normalized. So there you go. That's it. That was a lot. It only took me 17 minutes of talking. All right. That's it for now. Have a great weekend. I'm Vito with Abitano. We'll see you out there.